Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron. It has obviously been a while since we talked about TV. I think it's been maybe a month and a half or 2 months, and that is because I am now a dad to beautiful, beautiful twin girls. I would show them to you, but they're sleeping in the other room. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're just over here off camera. You'll never know. But anyway, I took some time off from everything really just to focus on being a dad for a while, and I'm still focusing on being a dad, but now I do some other things as well. One of those things today is going to be talking about season 3 of Fargo. Fargo is a difficult show to talk about as a show. Every season is so unique and stands as its own story that it's almost like talking about 3 different shows. There are some connecting themes throughout the story, obviously the location, the style or type of main characters, and sometimes it's a more obvious connection, like one character from one season being related to another. But the strongest overarching theme with these seasons is people getting caught in violent, avoidable, and generally unfortunate series of events that are fueled by mistakes, misunderstandings, and stupidity. Season 3 still feels very much like Fargo, which is pretty incredible given that these are 3 seasons that in many ways don't really have much to do with one another, but they still feel like they're a part of the same narrative. It's more than the stories always taking place in Minnesota. It's the type of characters, the way the story always unfolds, the way that a chain reaction is triggered by the actions of some naive, greedy guy. I'd say that it is extra impressive considering that each season still manages to have its own unique visual style, and of course all 3 seasons have great stories, fantastic characters. Long way of saying, I think this is one of the best running TV shows out there currently, in my opinion. I'm a fan. So season 3 primarily focuses on Emmett and Raymond Stussy, brothers who've fallen out over the years. Emmett has built a successful company and became very wealthy, while Raymond lives a less luxurious life, and he pretty much blames his brother for everything about how his life has turned out. There's a lot going on with Emmett and Raymond, but the way that this story is built is probably my favorite type of story construction. There are a lot of stories in this season, but none of them really feel like side stories. Everything we see is the result or a cause of another story. The show only ever spends time on things that are somehow relevant or just incredibly interesting. Raymond, who's a parole officer, is in a relationship with Nikki, one of his parolees, and she's a big part of the story as well, but we get to know her through the story and through her actions. Other shows would probably have done like a flashback episode about her past that would give us some cool insights into her character, but ultimately would have felt like a waste of time. Kind of like that episode in season 2 of Jessica Jones, where they dig really deep into Jessica's relationship with her friend Trish. I know lots of people like that episode, but for me, it really felt like at some point, it was like, we get it, let's move on. We didn't need to spend so much time here, just really slowed down the season. I don't know why it's so hard for me to talk about almost any show without mentioning something that went wrong with one of the Netflix Marvel shows. Anyway, so like other seasons of Fargo, the story here is made up of several major things that are all happening at once, and each thing that happens causes something else to escalate. Emmett's company needed a massive loan, so they took it from a shady individual who later comes back to cash in on his investment, and we get our truly spectacular villain in VM Varga, maybe the best of the series. While that's going on, Raymond's grudge against Emmett deepens, and par for the course, through a series of mistakes, a man with a similar name, Ennis Stussy, gets hurt. And he just happens to be the stepfather of a local police chief, Gloria, who becomes another one of our main characters, and she was probably my favorite. She then looks into that murder. Probably the furthest the show strays from the main story is with the beginning of Gloria'S Investigation, where she's still not aware of everything else that's going on, so she tries to learn more about her stepfather, which kind of leads her in the wrong direction. But that whole story, even on its own, is great. and the visual storytelling in that episode, which has some fantastic animated segments in it, is brilliant, and it does actually end up connecting to everything else. The intertwining web of the stories in this season is genius, and I love it, and Gloria is the best. I could probably go on and on about each and every character in this season because they're all so effective, and I think that it's incredibly hard to create a compelling TV villain, or a villain actually in any story, but so far Fargo is 3 for 3. So bottom line, should you watch it? Let's be honest, this is season 3, so you know if you're gonna watch it or not, and you probably have already watched it, but just in case you're still on the fence, yes, it is absolutely fantastic. It's a chain of masterfully crafted stories that all find a crazy, brilliant, silly way to connect. It's one of the few shows out there where something incredibly implausible can happen, something that will make you go, oh, there's no way that he just happens to be there, that thing just happened to fall exactly in that place. And in other shows, these things will take you out of the story because it will feel that they just wrote a coincidence, and you'll be like, I don't buy it. But in Fargo, this is how the story happens, and it feels genuine, so it just works incredibly well. What about you? Have you watched season 3 of Fargo? I'd love to know what you thought about it, and what were your thoughts about the different stories, and which one of those stories was your favorite, and also just what was your favorite overall season of Fargo up until now. If you're going to be talking about spoilers, please use spoiler tags in your comments. I'd like to say just a huge thank you to the patrons on Patreon who kept supporting this channel even though I didn't post for a while. I basically just fell off the map for a while, so sorry about that, and thank you. And if you're finding Binge Watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the Binge Watchers community. Come talk about TV with us. It's a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I'll see you in Minnesota.